We are now 4 weeks into the book of Deuteronomy, and we can see that the concept of Israel as a chosen people of God features prominently. Deuteronomy in general, and this week's parasha in particular, highlight God's election of Israel and expand on the notion that Israel is a holy people. Holy in the sense of the Hebrew root meaning of holiness, to be separated from the common and the ordinary. This chosenness demands an observance of God's laws, in particular the laws of purity and the shunning of pagan practices. Therefore, the honor of having been chosen as a holy people to God brings with it responsibilities and obligations. Deuteronomy also appears to recognize the inherent perils of this concept, a moral danger involved in the notion of divine election. Therefore, the authors and redactors of Deuteronomy frequently remind the Israelites that it is not from merit as a nation that Israel was chosen. Moses cautions the Israelites not to assume that their inheritance of the land of Canaan is because of their own worth, or because of righteousness or virtue that they possess. Moses says, not at all. Israel was chosen by God in an act of spontaneous love and a promise made to the patriarchs. Israel's election was entirely God's plan and is no reason for Israel to feel proud. Deuteronomy develops the idea of Israel's separation from the peoples and practices of the land of Canaan that are conflicting with the worship of God. It is for this reason intermarriage with the Canaanites is forbidden in Deuteronomy. And quite bluntly, Deuteronomy records Moses as saying that the Canaanites are to be completely destroyed. All practices, ways, and places of worship are to be eliminated from the land that will be possessed by God's covenant people. This week's parasha, Re'eh, is challenging to our sensitivities. Moses instructs the Israelite as to the first order of business when crossing the Jordan. You must destroy all the sites at which the nations you are to dispossess worship their gods, whether on lofty mountains and on hills, or under any luxuriant tree. Tear down their altars, smash their pillars, put their sacred posts to the fire, and cut down the images of their gods, obliterating their name from that site. Well, the world was outraged when in 2001 the Taliban notoriously blew up 2 gigantic 1,500-year-old Buddha statues that stood in the Afghan province of Bamiyan. The Taliban claimed the Buddhas violated Islam's prohibition on idolatry, yet our ancestors were commanded to do exactly the same. We have to confront the reality that monotheism is inherently inclined to militant intolerance. And we have to look anew at the words of the Aleinu prayer, which look forward to a world when God will sweep idolatry away so that idols will be utterly destroyed. Today, these injunctions appear symptomatic of profound religious insecurity. However, with sensitive historical perspective, we can appreciate that perhaps it was necessary for the religious life and survival of our early ancestors to destroy the altars and idols of their neighbors in order to consolidate their covenantal commitment to God. Today, it is not that our Jewish faith would be swayed by a visit to a great cathedral or to the mosques of Istanbul. We are now able to recognize that all humans are gods, and to quote the Talmud, anyone who has mercy on people is presumed to be of our father Abraham's seed, and anyone who does not have mercy on people is presumed not to have been of our father Abraham's seed. Shabbat Shalom.